Welcome, everybody, to the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast, episode number 219. Coming up on this one, we're going to look at the top 5 things the Leafs need to do this offseason. Is this the end of the core? Who stays? Who goes? All this and more on 219 of the Tip In podcast.
We're going to give our thoughts on what the Leafs roster might look like next season. How much change will there be? Let's hit the intro.
Really disappointing going forward here in the offseason as to A, what players will be back, what kind of changes there may be, but really disappointing that the Maple Leafs are going home.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast. I'm Chad.
I'm Dale.
Well, Dale, how do you want to do this? Kind of a special episode. The whole Berube thing's over with.
Yep. Leafs got their guy late last week. Little weird timing-wise, just before going into the long weekend, but
don't rock the boat.
Yeah, man. So how was your long weekend, Chatty?
It was great.
Yeah? Anything crazy happen? Fireworks or what?
No fireworks or anything like that. Just, hanging out.
Yeah, little Brazzers action cooking around.
I went to Brazzers for breakfast on Sunday. I had a little legs and ham.
Brazzers for breakfast. Love that. Love that.
There's nothing better than dipping your toast in some runny eggs with some pussy in your face.
Totally agree. We might hear a little bit from Brazzers tonight because this might be our last podcast for a while. Yeah. So we'll see here. So we might give some thanks at the end, and I think probably going to hear from Brazzers tonight for sure. But 100%. But yeah, man. So let's get into it here. So they got their coach. So now we move ahead to what's next, right? What are they going to do here? Like you said, is this the end of the core? Who stays? Who goes? So we're going to give our top 5 things that we think the Leafs need to do this offseason. And then I've got a little kind of what I think the roster. Did you make a roster or no?
No.
Okay. I've got one kind of.
I spent too much time down at the brass rail.
No problem. No problem, man. I've got one penned out, but it doesn't include any potential free agent signings that could be coming.
No.
Whatever. I've just kind of kept it on guys that were on the team last season that I don't want on the team anymore, and just kind of how I would pencil it in without any free agent signings. So we'll go over that, I guess, at the end, but we should start with the top 5. So we'll go 5. I've got a 5 spot. We can start at 5 and go to 1 each. I'll be shocked if these don't align. I doubt we'll have them in order of but I'd be very surprised if the 5 things I have are not the exact same 5 things you have, but maybe not. Who
knows?
But we'll see. So if you want to, do you have it from 5 to 1, order from the least important?
I don't know.
Important?
I don't really know if it's most important to least important, but I have 5 things.
Okay. You want to fire it off, or you want me to start it off with 5?
I can start it off with 5.
Okay.
The first thing that I have on my list, probably not the most important, but the first thing that I have on my list is they need to change up the assistant coach and the special teams. So Boucher's got to go.
Oh yeah.
And there was rumblings that that other people might be coming in, but anyway, they need to the special teams needs a big overhaul. I don't care if you need to change the personnel on the ice, the coaching, whatever it is. Yeah, it's great during the regular season, but you can't go 1 for whatever it was. I don't even remember now. 1 for 22, 21 in the playoffs. You just can't do that.
No. So my number 5 was basically the same thing. I just had it worded slightly different. My number 5 was fix the power play / special teams. So we're talking about the same thing here. I'm kind of surprised we didn't get into last podcast about Berube, bringing in his own guys. I'd be very surprised if Berube is not going to want to, he's not going to want fucking Guy Boucher running the power play. And come on, man. Berube's going to want to bring in his own guys. Who that is, I don't know. I heard some rumblings. Don't know yet, but we'll see. But I think, yeah,
But
coaching,
either way, special teams.
special teams. But yeah,
Special teams needs to change next season.
New assistant coaches, I think, is going to be top priority. Like Berube's already probably got guys in mind.
Yeah.
But
Berube's not a huge X's and O's guy.
No.
From what I've read, from what I've heard from other people, he's a motivator and he holds you accountable, but he's not a big X's and O's on where he should be on the ice and what you should do. He needs people around him that can do that.
100% agree. Yeah.
All right, you go next.
Mandatory, has to happen. I think all these things have to happen, but I'm not convinced that they all will happen. Number 4 for me is add some real depth scoring. I think, when you've got guys obviously that are paid to score, Nylander, Marner, Tavares, Matthews, and the history of it running dry in the playoffs, I'm not convinced Berube can fix that. He might be able to get more out of these guys, like just motivational wise, not X's and O's wise, but just like talking to them and like amping them up type thing. Like, right. Like being a coach that is like, I don't know, trying to get more out of them. Not convinced it's possible. It is possible, but I'm not convinced it's going to happen. So I just think like the Yarn Crocs and the camps and like Nyes is a good piece, and there's McMahon, there's pieces there, Robertson, whatever. But I just think they, you go free agent hunting maybe, or maybe it's trade, but I want to see, if they're scoring 1 or 2 goals a game again, like I'd like to see the odd night where they're putting 4 or 5 in the fucking net. Other teams are doing it. Like it's not going to be a every night thing, but
you want to take the pressure off the top guys
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things about breaking up the 4 core is it's going to free up a lot of salary cap. Like you could take Marner's $11 million and you could have 3 or 4 players. They're not going to give you 100 points like Marner did, but they might chip in nightly.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So that's what I think there. They need to add some real depth scoring, because you score 1 or 2 goals again in the playoffs next year, you might have the same result unless they really shore up the back end and whatever. Like there could be other moves to come here, but I just want to see a little more of like, if Austin can't bury it and Willie can't bury it, there might be someone else there that can do it. I don't know. Like to see them score 3 or more on a couple more occasions, but we'll see. So that's what I had at number 4. What do you got at number 4?
I have a number 4 that they need an elite defenseman. You probably have this on your list at some point.
I do.
Not that I don't know what's going to happen with Morgan Riley. I don't know if they're going to look at the trade route with him. I don't know what is going to happen with him. But I think you can't build your decor around Morgan Riley as your 1.
They've been trying to for years, and it hasn't worked. I had this, Chad, as my number 2 most important thing. That's how important I think it is.
Yeah, it's huge. I would just like to see, whether you trade Morgan or not, I would like to see the decor built around someone else.
Totally agree. Like, I totally agree. Like, my number 2 was, I would like to see a number 1 D man brought in here. Like you kind of just said there, whether you want to keep Riley. Okay. I'm open to
Riley's a great defense. Like
I'm open to keeping
not a
Riley.
Great defenseman, great player.
No. He's nothing special, man. He's okay. Like he's average. He's an average. He's average. Like he's not
a stud.
No, he's not. He's far from it. So I'm okay with keeping Riley in the mix at a number 2 position, but they need a legit number 1. I'm also okay with, if they want to move off of Morgan Riley and potentially get rid of his contract to help clear up more cap space and reset the number 1 and 2 D on this team. I'm open to that. I'm open to whatever you want to do. I'm open to it, but I think that is a huge one. Like I had it as high as number 2. They need to really go and try to find a number 1 D man. And if they can't do that, then for sure number 2 to play with Morgan. I don't know. We'll see more on that later when I go through the roster thing. But yeah, so on board there, like 100%. I think that's an absolutely huge one. In fixing fixing.
Like I said, my list isn't in any order. This is just 5.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So number 3 for me, was that number 4 for you?
Yeah.
Do you want to do number 3 or your number 3? Or do you want me to?
You go ahead.
Okay. So, I mean, this is, I put this into the same category here. So I've only got 2 left now because we had the same number.
That's fine.
I had the same one as you as number 2. This is the biggest one. Well, it's not the biggest one because I actually had it at number 3. I had 2 ahead of it, but it's one of the more challenging ones. And that is obviously convince Marner and Tavares that it's time to move on, because it's time to move on for both of these guys. You don't offer them contract extensions. You have a meeting with both of them separately. You say there will be no contract extension on the table. Like, I'm sorry, even JT, you want JT back at $2 million to play the 4th line center? I don't really. Do you? Like, going forward here, the C goes to Austin and JT sticks around because he just, whatever, $2 million on the 4th line. I don't really think he doesn't have the wheels. So, like, I think time for Mitch to go, time for JT to go. It's up to the upper brass to convince Marner and Matthews this offseason that it's time to get moving and shaking, boys. That's what I had at number 3. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, I totally agree that it's time to move off those 2. Now, I don't agree that signing Tavares as a 3 or 4 center at a very low cap hit is not a good idea, because
he can't skate, Chad.
Yeah, but okay, do I want Holmberg or John Tavares as my 3rd line center?
I'd take Holmberg at this point in time.
No. As much as Tavares' wheels have fallen off, he's still John Tavares.
And he's just going to continue to get slower.
But we're not asking him to be on the first power play unit. We're not asking him to anchor the 2nd line. We're not asking him we're asking him to play 3rd line minutes. What would
the price have to be? What if he was like, what if he wants 4?
No.
4? So it's got to be like 2.5.
Yeah, he's got to do one of those deals. Like, people will look at other guys in the league that are around the same age, like Brad Marchand and things like that, who still contribute and make pretty good money. But Tavares just isn't at that level.
Okay.
Unfortunately, at this point in his career, like you said, his wheels have fallen off and he can't do it. But if he, like when you were talking, you said $2 million.
Well, that I wouldn't go any higher than 2.5, whatever. But
David Kampf's making more than that.
I know, more on that later. But like,
I'm just saying, like, would I rather David Kampf for John Tavares? Probably has a little more finish in him than David Kampf.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like for me though, I just think like it gets awkward. It all of a sudden gets awkward because we're talking about the captain of the team. So if all of a sudden he goes to the 3rd line or the 4th line and he's making $2 million going forward past next season, then what? The C goes to Austin, but your former captain is still in the room. That doesn't create a bit of kind of like awkwardness? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but like, suck it up,
I guess. But it's never worked before. When they did it in San Jose, it didn't work. When they did it in LA, it didn't work. So why the fuck would it work here? For me, it's just cut the ties. Sorry, cut the ties. Okay. Mitch, that's just where I'm at on it. Like, you can disagree, whatever. That's fine.
I totally think they should cut the ties with them. I'm just arguing the point that would I bring Tavares back to be a 3rd or 4th line center at a low cap hit? Yeah, I would.
Okay.
You're always looking for guys like that to fill out the roster.
I think you can go younger, you could go cheaper and fill it with a different look.
Maybe.
That's where I'm at number 3. What do you got?
Number 3 on my list. Well, I had it higher than number 3, but we've kind of gone over all my stuff. But
yeah.
And this is probably your number 1.
I guarantee it is.
It's goaltending.
Yeah, that's my number 1.
Yeah, like, okay, Samsonov's not coming back.
No chance.
Joseph Woll is got a lot of potential, but he also gets the fuck hurt all the time.
Too many question marks on his health.
So you cannot go into this season and expect to win anything unless you have some sort of stability between the pipes.
And Tree knows that. Tree knows that. He talked about it when they did their 3-headed monster presser there.
He was the only one that talked about it.
Yeah, he knows it, man. He knows. Like, you can't rely on. There's zero chance that Samsonov's coming back. I think Wall will be in the mix, but it's got to be like, show me, man. Like, start as the backup, have another guy there, whoever that may. I don't want to. There's guys that I have in mind, but I'm not sure who it. There's a couple guys out there.
We won't know.
No, it would be speculation. Like, we're not really into the rumor. Like, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube and a lot of podcasts that get into like the rumors and stuff. Like, we don't really do that. We kind of just give it to you.
We can't read.
No. But I don't like the rumor thing because it's not like it could be this, it could be that. Like, yeah, there's guys I'd like to have play net, but like it would all be it's all rumors. So, but for me, it's absolutely crucial that they shore up the goaltending. Joseph Woll, if he can be the backup and get healthy, there could still be a potential there for him to like, show me you can stay healthy. Show me you're not injured every whatever couple weeks or couple months. And like potentially the net could be his eventually, but you can't count on that. Like you said, too many question marks. You cannot count on his health because he's injured every fucking season. Every season this guy gets injured. He could not play in the most important game of the season game. If he plays in game 7, I'm not saying for sure anything would have been different, but it might have been. You know what I mean? So just being that, you can't count on it, man. So for me, a legit number one goaltender. I mean, there's not a lot of them out there that are going to be available. I think you could probably snag somebody in a trade, though. Like I have a couple guys in mind. I'm not going to.
That's what Tree Living gets paid to do.
Yeah.
You see a massive hole in your lineup and you fill it. That's what she said.
What about She Loves?
No.
He looks like he's ready to win a Stanley Cup. Why not?
Oh, come on, man.
As a third string, he's been really good, man.
Yeah, he's been really good. But would you bet the farm on him?
Well, no, I wouldn't, but they have Demko. No, I wouldn't, but I don't know. It depends how good how deep
I guess
goes.
if there's not much, but I wouldn't be totally confident in that.
Like they're not.
I get it.
They're not moving off of Demko.
No, I know they're not moving off Demko.
He could just be the backup, I guess, out there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like he's had a good little run here, but I would rather them go out and get someone who's I can look back and be like, look, this guy has 5, 6, 7 years experience. This is what he's done. He doesn't get hurt all the fucking time. That's the only thing about Woll.
I'm going to throw you 2 names. I am going to throw you 2 names just to get your opinions on them.
Here we go down the rumor mill.
Well, it's not. I'm not saying. I'm just going to throw you 2 names that are in my head, and I just want your opinion on it. Obviously, UC Saros in Nashville. What about Binnington in St. Louis? I don't think Binnington's the problem. Why St. Louis isn't like Binnington's been a pretty good goaltender. He's not the problem there, from what I see. It's not like I'm watching Blues games every night, but
I don't know. I've never been a huge Binnington fan. I don't know what it is. I don't like the guy.
I like his attitude, man. He's kind of got an old school like Belfort, like I'm coming at you, motherfucker attitude. Yeah. I kind of like that. I'm not a big fan of the laid back nonchalant. Like I don't
like that either. But
Ronnie Hextall. Oh, I'm old school, man.
God, he's not Ronnie Hextall.
No, but Binnington's got some fire in him. I kind of like that.
All right.
I'm just throwing those 2. So out of those 2 names, Saros for you?
Yeah, Saros would be the guy for me.
What do you think? Like, can you think of anybody else?
Not that I would be opposed to Binnington. Obviously not. I'm just saying there's something about Binnington that I don't know. And that's just my personal opinion.
He's got a good relationship with the new head coach all of a sudden.
He sure does.
So maybe you could pry Binnington and, I don't know, Parayko or a defenseman out of St. Louis and like.
Well, here we go down the rumor mill.
I know. What did I just say? What am I doing?
You're like, we don't do that on this show.
All right.
Here's the rumor mill.
All right. Well, there's no rumors there. I'm just saying like those could be potential things. I'm not like saying it's going to happen, whatever, but who knows? Anyway, whatever.
That's what a rumor is.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you have anybody in mind goaltending wise that like stands out or you're like, maybe this guy, maybe that guy, like when you look around the league?
No, I don't, but what I want is I want Tree Living to make the move where as soon as I hear it, I'm like, that's it. I don't know who it is and I'm not thinking of it now, but when he makes the move, I want to say, that's it. Yeah. That is the move. I don't want it to be like, oh shit, not that guy.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. All right. So that's, I think, so we basically had, the same things there. Like,
I had one other thing.
Okay, go ahead.
One of the things they need to change this offseason is the mentality of the team. These guys need to stop parading around like the media's out to get them. Like everybody's out to get them. Berube, if he is the motivator and sort of the accountability coach that we think he is, he needs to change their mindset that they are accountable and it is their fault. And they need to take responsibility and change their fucking mentality and stop saying shit like we're close, we're right there, we're learning lessons. all that out the window. You're fucking grown men. When you lose to the Chicago Blackhawks, we played like shit. If you get knocked out in the first round, we were fucking horrible. We didn't get the job done. That's it. Change the mentality of this team.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's so necessary that needs to happen. But what is the likelihood that after all this time, that I know there'll be a different coach in there given
a different roster, hopefully.
Yeah, a different roster, hopefully too, but a different coach preaching a different message. Yeah, I guess if anyone's going to get that through to these guys, it's probably going to be the Chief. I love it too. If you break up the core, I think the message gets through a little clearer. Like if all of a sudden Mitch Marner's skating around on Anaheim or something like that, the other guys are going to look and be like, Jesus, we're not fucking gods, as they say. Yeah.
And you got to start taking accountability. But if I have to listen to another fucking press conference about we love each other and we're really close and we're right there, the mentality has to change that you're not. Like, you're just not.
No, God, no, not even close.
It's like, you know how it is when you're getting older and you keep thinking that you're young. And then one day you got to just say to yourself, I'm not young anymore. I can't do this shit.
Yeah, I still can't believe that comment from Mitch. Like, I think it was taken a little out of context, but still, like, you just not the right time and not the right thing to say.
No,
but
just change the mentality. Be more like a winner and less like a loser.
Yeah, love it. That is going to be super important, like high on the list. Absolutely love that. So, okay, for me, next year's team, not taking into account free agents, like I said off the top, like other than our guys, like I kept some of our, like I had to fill out a roster here. So I kept some of our free agents in the mix, although I'm not convinced that they're going to be, but I made a roster with some guys I would bring back, some guys that I would exclude. And also I just want to preference this by saying, like, if we look at what's going on here right now in the playoffs with the Rangers and the Florida Panthers in the East Final, and specifically the Florida Panthers being, basically owning the Atlantic Division for who knows how many years to come. Everything now from the management side of things needs to be, how do we beat the Florida Panthers? Correct?
Yeah.
Like every single move they make has to be, how do we beat Florida? Because it runs through Florida. Like they're not going anywhere unless they can beat Florida in a 7-game series, Chad. That's it. The way the playoffs are.
I think that mentality is wrong.
Well, okay. I mean, if you beat Florida, you're going to have a real good chance at winning the cup. So, like,
yeah, but I think the teams that
if you were talking Florida, about you can never get out of the second round.
We were talking about this last podcast that you said Florida came in and they had a mission. They weren't going to fucking lose. Yeah. I think your mentality shouldn't be, how do we beat Florida? I think your mentality should be, how do we be the team that you have to beat? Like, let's be that. Let's be the team where Florida says, fuck, how do we beat Toronto? Don't worry about everyone else. Be such a fucking juggernaut that everyone in the league's like, Jesus, you got to watch out for this Leafs team. They're fucking tough to beat. Stop comparing yourself and start thinking that you're the fucking legends of the league.
No, I like that, but I just think like the management needs to be like, if you're comparing Florida's roster,
building your roster.
Yeah, building your roster.
Like, but you can't have the players be like, we got to be better than Florida.
No. Like the management needs to look at Florida's roster next season, look at ours on paper, and be like, can this Leafs team beat these guys in a 7-game series or no? Because this year it would be a clear cut no. They would not be able to do that. So that's all I'm saying. Like,
I get what you're saying. Just build a roster that could win the Atlantic Division.
100%, which is basically beating the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
Like,
I would like even tree living. Your mentality, you should build a roster. You should just build a roster that's like, fuck, nobody can beat this. Florida and Boston, nobody.
I agree.
But I don't think that'll happen this year.
Well, no, we might be looking at like one more season and then the money really comes off the books and we're looking ahead to the 25-26 season. So, but we'll see. You never know what magic could be up their sleeves here. But anyway, here's what I got. So I'd like your thoughts on this. You'll notice who's excluded here once I go through it. So here's the 4 lines I've got up front, and then I've even got some deep pairs. So, and I know who's still under contract and who's not, but I'll just give you who I would like to see still in the mix and guys who I would have no problem moving on from if the Leafs did that.
Let's hear
So
it.
as the top line, I would have Matthews. Again, I would have no problem keeping Bertuzzi and Domi around at the right price, both of those guys, and then that becomes your top line. I like the way that line played for significant stretches. I think it made Matthews play a little grittier. I like the way Matthews played with those guys. It kind of made him like a step taller type thing. You know what I mean? Played with a little more edge. So Bertuzzi, playing with Bertuzzi, Domi, what do you think the likelihood is Bertuzzi and Domi coming back, both of them?
I don't know. Like
Domi,
would
you want it?
Yeah, I would want both of them to come back. I think Domi's more likely. I don't know if Bertuzzi loved his time in Toronto.
I don't know if he loves his time anywhere.
But I mean,
I think he just wants the cake, kind of. But no, he played hard. He played hard, and he was great. He was great on the top line, and he did a lot of great things. I'd love to have him on. He's kind of a sloppy hockey player, but I just love what he brings to the team. It's something different. Yeah.
We'll see. But we'll just leave all that shit out of it. That's your top line. Yeah, I'm good with it.
Matthews, Bertuzzi,
second line.
Domi. Okay, so my second line next season would be, and you're going to realize who is not going to be around here anymore real soon once I start going here. My second line next season would be Nylander at center with Nyes and McMahon. So you know who's out of the mix there. My third line would be, here comes some rookies. We got Minton and Cowan on the team playing together on the third line with Ryan Reeves to protect the two kids. That's my thought process there. And then a mixture potentially of Holmberg, Robertson, Dewar, maybe Gregor, fourth line, whatever. So the exclusions would be Yarncroc, I would have no problem moving off of. Kampf, I would have no problem trading and moving off of. Marner, Tavares. So again, second line, Nylander, Nyes, McMahon, Minton, Cowan, and Reeves, just to play with the kids. I thought that made the most sense. I think the kids are good enough to make the team. We'll see what happens, but to have a guy there that can protect them, and then some combination of Holmberg, Robertson, Dewar, Gregor, something like that, fourth line. Keep in mind, I'm not including, I know that they'll be signing free agents and that, but that's kind of where I'm excluding guys like Yarncroc, Kampf, Marner, Tavares. What are your thoughts up front? Am I crazy or what?
I mean, if you were to build a roster the way you did, where you get absolutely nothing back from your trades, and that's a good roster.
Well, I know
you were doing it with the exclusion of anyone coming in, any free agents or any trades.
Basically, Chad. For me, it's the guys I have on there are the guys that I don't have a problem with still being in the mix. I don't have a problem still being around. The guys I've excluded where I'm ready to move off of. That's kind of all I really did there.
Yeah, and that's a good list for that reason. The roster will never look like that next season.
No. But Minton.
But for those reasons, that's a good list. I am not sold. I know Easton Cowan had a great season. I am not sold that Easton Cowan's just going to jump into the NHL seamlessly.
Not seamlessly, but what are you going to do? You're going to send this kid back after he?
No, you got to give him a chance. You got to give him a chance. And Fraser Minton, same thing. I don't know. I remember when Nick Robertson tore up the OHL, and we were like, this kid, you put him on the third line, he might give you 20 goals. How many seasons are we in? He can't get it going in the NHL. I would actually be moving off.
It was his best. I thought it was his best. It was his best season last year.
Okay, best season. How good was it?
Stayed healthy. Well, he scored 15 goals in limited action.
All right, great.
So you play the guy higher up, he might be able to score you 25 goals.
Great. Would you move him for a defenseman or a goalie or something? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, he's not that important.
No, but I'd still I'd still keep him in the mix, depending. He doesn't.
But I've seen people doing mock rosters for next year where they have Easton Cowan on the second line.
No,
come on.
No,
we don't know. Maybe, but you can't count on that. If you're trying to build a Stanley Cup team, you can't be the kid in junior. He's going to step right in and score 30 goals.
No, for sure. But I want to take a good hard look at Cowan and Minton, and you look at Cowan, the London Knights, the coach there, Dale Hunter, kind of an animal, similar style coach.
Kind of an animal.
an animal.
He's an animal.
Similar style coach as Berube. So Hunter was able to get a lot out of Cowan. Maybe like Cowan could thrive under a guy like Berube. I mean, there's a lot of, I'm not saying it's a for sure thing. It's just like, this is how I kind of would rather have it look, and have like guys like Yarncroc, guys like Camp get their money away, try to get Marner and JT's money away. And I know the forward group will not look like that, but like I said, those are the guys that I still wouldn't mind having in the mix. I know the 4 guys I excluded, I'm just like, I think it's go cheaper and try to find some other
what
guys.
About yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. There's even more. Like, I would be okay moving off of like fucking Gregor, and I would be okay trading Nick Robertson. I totally agree with you. But what about on the back end?
Okay, so the back end for me, it's like we said last podcast, we were talking about we were talking this podcast, sorry, about one of the top things they need to do this offseason is to try to find a number 1 D-man. So for me,
but you're just using the people in house.
Yeah. So I didn't. So for me, it's Riley. If Riley's still in the mix, and I'm open to moving off of Riley, I would have, if he gets traded out to Seattle or something, like I would have no issues with moving off of Morgan Riley and bringing in a new number 1 and a number 2. If they don't do that and they decide to keep Riley, I think they legit have to find an upgrade on Riley, like we were talking earlier, to be the number 1 guy. Riley can maybe be the number 2. And then that's it. So it's Riley and someone better on the top pair. I think that's what's needed. That's what I would do. McCabe's still under contract. Benoit still under contract. I think that's your bottom pair. You want to try to upgrade the defense. I understand that. I wouldn't mind bringing Edmondson back, and I like Lyubushkin as well. So as of right now, without talking about Tanev or talking about,
so you're okay with
Montour.
You're pretty much okay with who they played in the playoffs.
Well, I would
just like another guy in there to play with.
Yeah, I would pair it different. Like my bottom pair would be Edmondson and Lyubushkin, and then McCabe, Benoit, and then I would have a whole fresh new top pair if I could, because I would move off of Riley. But if I can't move off of Riley, I would have him as the number 2 and try to bring an upgrade in for him. Okay, so Brody gone, Liljegren,
Brody's gone,
and Gio gone.
Liljegren you're done with, and Gio obviously he's gone.
Obviously. So, I know like there's guys out there on the back
Gio back?
No,
not to play, but would you bring Gio back in a different type of role?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, okay. 100%. Absolutely. No questions asked. But
goaltending, Samsonov gone, Wall, you're keeping.
Yeah, that's it. Wall's penciled in, and then question mark, who do they get to play, with Wall. Yeah. But for me, man, like I know there's Tanev, it's a free agent, Zadorov free agent, Montour free agent, all on the back end. Like there's some good defensemen available, but
I can't wait.
What kind of money you're going to have to spend? What kind of money are you going to have to spend?
Well, that's the thing.
We need to move off of Mitch.
We need to see what's going to happen, and I can't wait. This will be our last podcast for a bit. And unless something crazy happens, like if a trade happens, obviously we're going to hop back on, but there's really not much to talk about Leaf-wise.
Yeah.
So this will be our last podcast for a bit, but I'm really excited this summer. Last summer, I remember us doing a podcast after Keefe got his extension, and we were really kind of like, we were done. We were kind of like, nothing's fucking changing.
3 years ago after the Montreal series.
Yeah, we were done then, but I'm really hoping that this time around things change. I'm really hoping that when we go into September, we can look at the roster that you just gave us, but we can add in these new pieces that we're like, yeah, that's the guy. Oh, man, look at that line. Oh, look at that goalie. Look at this defense. Like something. I would be 100%. So excited to see it. 100%. Anyway, anything else?
No, man. No, that's it. That's it for me.
Anyway, I just want to it's been a long season. We've had some ups and downs, even with the Tip in Maple Leafs podcast, but we've come a long way. With YouTube subscribers, we've come a long way with podcast listeners and downloads and all that stuff. And
it was our biggest year ever.
It's our biggest year ever. And I want to thank everybody that listens to the podcast, that downloads, that goes to YouTube, that leaves a comment, good or bad, that hits the thumbs up. I want to thank you so much, because honestly, sometimes it gets really tough doing this podcast. And the only reason that we show up to do it every time is because of you guys. And we thank you so much. But anyway, for the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast, on Twitter at Tip In Pod, on TikTok at Tip In Podcast. Email us tipinpodcast@gmail.com. While you're on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell to get notified. And until next time, whenever the hell that is, I'm Chad.
I'm Dale.
We will.
Listen, guys, just before we go quickly, changing the head coach, I like it, but it's not enough. There needs to be more significant change here. We'll see what that is all about. Like Chad said, going to be a very interesting offseason. Thanks, everybody, again. And listen, hey, we'll probably be, unless there's something crazy that happens between now and the draft, we'll be back the weekend of the NHL draft, June 28th, 29th in Vega, Las Vegas, baby, at the Sphere in Las Vegas. That is going to be absolutely incredible.
Is U2 playing?
What's that?
Is U2 playing?
I wouldn't doubt. No, NHL can't afford that stuff.
Yeah,
they can't afford.
They got
that
a YouTube. They got a YouTube tribute band.
But exactly,
from Brampton.
Yeah, exactly. But it should be cool seeing the draft at the Sphere in Vegas, and it should be a good weekend. Yeah. So unless something crazy happens between now and then, guys, like Chad said, thanks all season for watching and listening. We do really appreciate it. But NHL draft, June 28th, 29th, we'll be back that weekend for sure. Be safe, everybody out there. Enjoy the warm weather. And again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please like this video on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're just growing. We're just growing onwards, bigger and better. We're just going to keep it growing. That's what it's all about. Keep it growing.
Keep it growing.
All right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll catch you later.